beginning of the 1838-1839 season saw James Caldwell once again in control of both of his New Orleans theaters. But while he was taken up with his expansive investments around a country hard hit by economic depression, the competition for audiences in New Orleans was growing. And much as Caldwell had made his stand outside the Vieux Carré, another theatrical revolution was happening on the opposite side of the city. Theaters in New Orleans had some perks that made the industry an attractive investment. They were given the right to operate tax-free and to operate a small bar during performances. In return, every theater reserved a special box for the governor or city officials at every performance. The possibilities of officials visiting a theater was good for business any night. The city also provided a guard for the theaters if there was trouble or unrest in the streets. And it didn't matter who owned the theaters. In 1838, two new theaters opened in the burgeoning Faubourg Marigny. One was the quaint Théâtre de l'Élysée, which opened at the corner of Grand Dame and Champs-Élysées, today's Dauphine and Elysian Fields. They presented a few traveling acts, but mainly as a home for benefit performances by several of the actors from the Théâtre Orléans. Its life was short, open only from mid-May to the end of July, but in its life, it got good reviews. The most important of the two was the Theatre Marigny, opened by E.V. Matthew, a free man of color, on February the 14th of 1838. Theatre Marigny was on the corner of Champs-Élysées and Bon Enfant, today's Elysian Fields and St. Claude, and was the first recorded black-owned theater for free people of color in New Orleans. Since 1811, the Faubourg Marigny, just outside of the old city's fortifications, had grown into a thriving community for free people of color. Black-owned businesses and construction had grown the population in the newly formed 3rd municipality to the point of needing their own theaters to reflect their culture. Despite the fact that black performers had literally created the origins of theater in the city with the St. Philip Theater, by 1812 white actors were refusing to appear alongside black actors. In 1816, the theaters in New Orleans were legally segregated, effectively forcing black actors from the stage and forcing the free people of color to the upper tiers of the theaters far away from the white patrons. The opening of the Theatre Marigny would, for a short time, challenge that notion of segregated audiences. The new theater in the 3rd municipality was open seating. Whites and free people of color all sat together at the Theatre Marigny, which added to the allure of the theater and its French productions. Despite a change of directorship in July of that year, the Theatre Marigny would have its last performance on September the 28th, 1838. A little over 18 months later, a new theater would open on the site of the Théâtre de l'Élysée, rightfully called Théâtre de la Renaissance. The Renaissance would take the place of the Théâtre Marigny, attracting many of the same folks who ran the Marigny as well as their performers. Seemingly a larger enterprise than the Marigny, the Renaissance also featured a designated ballroom, a bar, and resident orchestra directed by Constantine de Burgh, who was also the director of the Negro Philharmonic Society. Though not owned by free people of color, the Renaissance was open to audiences of all social classes. Officially, as it was announced a month after the opening of the theater, the Renaissance would, quote, only admit people of color, end quote. But even in 1840, the racial mix in New Orleans made so-called racial characteristics meaningless, making the segregation laws unenforceable. Most likely, both white and black patrons were served, retaining the Marigny tradition of interracial seating and mixed castes. One of the most prominent black actors of the 19th century, Edmond Orseau, appeared at both the Marigny and the Renaissance theaters. He was often supported by the actor and poet Armand Lenous, remembered today for his contributions to Les Senelles, the first American poetry anthology to feature the work of black authors. Every theater in New Orleans was required to submit any show not seen in the city for approval. But the regulations for black theaters were more stringent. Plays that were, quote, tending to corrupt morals or disturb the public tranquility, end quote, were forbidden, mainly due to fears of white Americans over a black uprising similar to the revolution in Haiti that had brought theater to the city some 4 decades earlier. That unfounded fear resulted in a law passed in 1830 that threatened life imprisonment and capital punishment for anyone who wrote, published, or presented any material that might produce discontent in the black population. By focusing their dramas on the French classics of a previous century, black theaters could perform dramas that, with the proper casting, could speak directly to the social issues most important to black audiences of the time without incurring the suspicions of city government. Back across Canal Street, James Caldwell was reforming his restored theatrical empire. The St. Charles required all of his attention, being close to failure. It was clear that running both the Camp Street and the St. Charles theaters was an impossibility. So, at the end of 1838, Caldwell's company packed up, the lights were extinguished, and the American Theater on Camp Street closed. 1840 would also be the year that James Caldwell faced his fiercest competitor in the form of his former actor and company manager, Noah Ludlow, who came back to New Orleans with a new business partner and the desire to take over from his rival. Thank you for watching. Please remember to subscribe to our channel and share this video. Follow us on all social media at NOLA Voice Theatre. Next time, Ludlow and Smith become synonymous with New Orleans theater, and James Caldwell has his final act. For NOLA Voice Theatre, I'm Vatican Loki.